everyone. Welcome to this week's Fireside Creators. I am your host, Reverend Dr. Sherry Palace. Tonight, I am chatting with Bill Cooper, and we are talking about creating new dreams. I am really looking forward to talking about this. Please remember to keep all comments and questions related to the show topic, and that this is a safe space. Thank you for joining us, and I'm looking forward to all of your comments and questions. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe. If you're on Facebook, grant StreamYard access so we can see your name when you have a comment or a question. Thank you for joining us and welcoming us into your homes and joining the conversation. I appreciate you all. Okay, let's meet our guest and get smarter. Bill Cooper is 80 years old and has been married to Mary Ann for 32 years. Bill worked at the United States Post Office for 29 years, retiring 32 years ago. He moved to Savannah in 2000 and started acting on the local stage and SCAD student films 20 years ago. 10 years ago, he started doing stand-up comedy and had a local radio show for 4.5 years. For 2 years, he has had a Facebook comedy show and has sold watercolor paintings. Welcome. I am so glad to talk to you, Bill.
Thank you very much, Sherry. It's nice to be here.
And I'm going to remove this, and we have a special guest with us tonight. Patrick is joining, my beloved producer, who has been doing this amazing schedule for me. So welcome, Patrick. I'm so glad to have you here today.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm jealous of both of you meeting each other for the first time.
It's nice.
You're both wonderful people that, my life is richer for knowing the both of you.
Oh, thank you.
You got my cue card. Thank you.
Right. And the check will be in the mail this week. So, Bill, I wanted to talk to you. I was so glad that Patrick scheduled this show because I just finished my book. It took me a third of my life, 13 years, to get it done. And after it was done, I was like, okay, now what? Now what do I do? My whole goal in life, which took me 45 years to even get to. I had previous dreams that I set aside because the book came up and it was so much better of a dream. But then when I was done, well, I mean, you'll never be done, but done, it's out, I've done what I needed to do. It was like, okay, I accomplished my dreams. Now what am I going to do? And for a few weeks, I just sat there in like a lull, almost kind of depressed, like, I don't even know what to do from here. Is that what started you on your missions and changing your whole life?
I really can't say what the start was. I live in Savannah, and if anyone's familiar with Savannah College of Art and Design, it is now the largest art school in America, and they have roughly 10,000 students just here in Savannah.
Oh, wow.
And when I visited my son here in 1985, he was in the Army, and I came here to visit him, and I saw SCAD. At the time, it was one building, 30 students. That's how small it was. But there was something nice about it. It was in an old armory. And I'm saying, gee, that's a nice place. And there was a feeling I had here. I said, when I retire, I'd like to move here. There's a beautiful feeling in this city. Patrick, I'm just saying the squares, the buildings, the architect, the people. It's just a nice feeling. No one bothers you. And it's when I came down here, as I said to my wife, I've been down there a few times, before I met her. And I says, it's the kind of place you go. You don't tell them how to live their lives. They don't want to hear that. You just get along with them. And it takes a while for them to get to know that you can be trusted. It really does. The Southern mind is a little different than the Northern one. And if they ever forgot I was from the North, I did two things. I had them talk to Mary Ann, or I'd say, hey, bartender, give me another beer, will you? Come on. Anyway, I mean, I loved the city, and it just the first thing I said when I come down here, when I retired, I'm going to get involved in the arts some way. And I volunteered at SCAD. I was the very first volunteer they had, and I volunteered just to get some ideas.
Is it something that you'd wanted to do since childhood, or is this something that just piqued your interest later in life?
I'll go to acting right now. My father and I remember being about 11 years old, and it was a Saturday night, and the others were in bed sleeping. He'd come in and get me up because he didn't like to to watch TV alone because he would talk to the TV. And we would be watching some old film, and it was so bad. And we were just making up lines for the film instead, and they were better than whatever was on the film. And at the end of it, he would say something like, $18.42. I said, "What's that, Dad?" He said, "That's the entire budget, including lunches for that movie." And so I was
So it
just
runs
kind
in
of,
the family.
it ran in the family, and then I just had that in the back of the mind. I'd like to see if it's as easy as I think it is. So that was, when I had a shot to get in the films at SCAD, I took it, and I was in over 40 of them because the students would pass you on. They had a lot of friends their age that could act, but they had none my age. So they would just
Yeah.
pass me on from one to another. And it was just, it was great.
So tell me again what SCAD stands for.
Savannah College of Art and Design.
Okay.
Yeah. And as I say, anyone, that knows anything about art colleges, that is now the biggest in America. It was started by a woman and her husband. They had divorced a few years after they started it. And she is the highest paid college president in America, but she deserves it. She started the college. She started that whole thing. And if they want to pay her that much money, good. And they want to pay that much to go there, good. But
Right.
again, she deserves it. So it's nice to see.
So you did stand up. I mean, stand up is like absolutely terrifying for most people. I've had a couple stand ups on the show, and
Yeah.
I mean, I go to a lot of comedy shows because I just love them. And I'm always walking away just completely amazed, going, how did they do that? Just to get up and to be that vulnerable and to banter with the audience sometimes. It's a respect that I have that is similar to fiction writers. I just don't know how you guys do it.
And people that tell me that, I ask them, did you ever want to do it?
No.
Okay, so you're fine. Excuse me 1 second. I ask them if they ever wanted to do it, and then I tell them, write yourself a script. Because if you want to do it, that means you know how to make people laugh already. Your friends, you're probably, you're the life of the party. They say all that, but write yourself a script and get up there and be willing to fail. The first 2 times I did comedy, not a snicker, and it was. Oh boy, what did I do? But instead of, at that age, I was 69. I wasn't a kid. I said, and all I said, the second time I left the stage, I said, I'm going to figure it out. They're not beating me. I'm coming back, instead of saying, oh, I give up. And then I realized, because of the age difference, these were 21-year-olds in the audience. I couldn't connect with them. I had no idea what their music was or what they watched or anything. So I had to find something that connected us, and everyone eats. And I started making fun of the way and the things people eat today. And it was like free range chicken. They're saying, oh, I ate free range chicken. That's all I'll eat. I'm saying, you got to be kidding me. A free range chicken, they have it outside. They have watchtowers like Hogan's Heroes, going to shoot down any hawk that comes near them. And they run around, they give Perrier water. They wash off their sunflower seeds with that. That's a happy chicken. You're going to eat a happy chicken? Give me the ones that never see the light of day. They stuff them in a truck on the way to the market. They stick their heads out the truck and they say, Mister, please eat me. I taste like chicken. And they do. So that was what connected with them. Something we both did. We both ate. And that was how I figured it out.
There's so many life lessons in what you just said. Never give up, continue, find commonality, and laugh. I absolutely love that. Patrick has been trying to get me to be a stand-up storyteller for the last couple years, and I'm comfortable behind this screen or at a table, but I did a story, and I'm still proud of myself this year at the Goose. So I'm still so proud of myself that I did that, but I wasn't sober, so I blame that on it.
Jeez. Yeah. When I first met Bill, I was getting the Story Arts Workshop started, and Chris Susi said, you know what? We just met a guy named Bill Cooper. You want to get him in on storytelling. And that's another one of Bill accolades, is telling stories.
Well, yeah. Now I see why you say he had to come on the show. So where did you get this? I mean, is it something that was ingrained in you as a child? This fortitude, this not giving up, the courage to make change. I mean, so many people are so afraid of change, and like myself, seemingly you embrace it.
It wasn't always easy. I
Right.
was known when I was a kid, I was known as the mule. If I didn't want to do something, my parents couldn't afford. I sat. Remember, they used to say, "Would take a walk." I from Lowell, Massachusetts. Would take a walk downtown. No one had a car after the war, and I'd walk halfway and then sit on the ground. I wasn't going to walk another step, and I was 4 years old, and they had to carry me. So they called me the mule. I was always stubborn. Got in a lot of trouble at school with it. Got in a lot of trouble my whole life. But I'm thinking, if I'm not harming anyone, how am I
Right.
so bad just because I'm different? And I knew I was different because I'd say something that say, "How'd you think of that?" And they'd be laughing their face off. And I'd just say, "I don't know. It comes in here. I have no idea. It just comes in the head." And I don't mind saying it. So I can't describe, I don't think anyone can actually describe at their age how they got to there. And I have an excellent memory. I can remember being 2 years old. I'm
Wow.
standing, they had playpens that were wooden slats. It wasn't the fabric ones. It was wooden slats, and I'm standing there, and I was always tall. I'm 6'3", but I was always tall. My sister was a year and a half older than me, and she'd come over and want to play with me. But all I'd do is reach out and grab her pigtail, and then she'd be screaming, "Mama!" Buddy was my nickname. Buddy, pulling my hair. My mother would have to peel my hand off. And then she'd leave the room crying with my mother. And there was my chance to play with someone outside my jail, and I blew it. But the next day, I did the same thing. Just grab that pigtail. It just seemed like the fun thing to do.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
I was at a sales seminar years ago, and it was a lesson on change. And the guy had us change something about the person sitting to our right. And every single one of us took something away. And he brought it to our attention after the lesson was done, saying, change can add to your life. Why did you guys automatically assume? So many people are afraid of change. It's something that I've moved like 29 times in the last 35 years.
Wow.
So it's been something that I've embraced, and I'm proud of myself for that, because I see people who are stuck and just can't get past that because of the fear. And you have reached your dreams, and many times over because of it. So I applaud you for that. That is so awesome.
The other thing, and I've got to mention this too, is my wife, Mary Ann. We got married in 1992. A week before I retired from the post office, and we get married. We were going to get married a few months in the future there, but I said, no, they'll screw up the paperwork. It'll take forever to change it unless we're married before. So we did that anyway. But as I said, she always, anything I've done, she supported me. She had her hand on my back. The first time, Patrick Saxon? Patrick, do you know
No, sir.
Patrick Saxon? He's
I
an
don't believe
actor
so.
in Savannah.
Okay.
So my wife and I went to a play that he was in, because at that time I volunteered reading on a radio station for the blind. We used to read the newspaper for the blind, and that
Nice.
was it. And I met him there. And when he said he was in a play locally, my wife and I went. He was terrific. I was enthralled. As I said, when I was a little kid with my father, I wonder how it would feel to act. It seems easy, but I wonder how it would feel. And at the end of the play, the director got up and said they were having a tryout for a play. It was a musical,
Nice.
and it was Into the Woods. So I just tapped my wife. I said, "I'm going to go out for that." She says, "Good." And then afterwards, I said, "What did I say? I've never acted in my life." So Tuesday night comes, the night of the first rehearsal. They had 2 nights of it. And I said, "Tonight's the rehearsal." She said, "Well, you said you were going. Now I can't let her down." You know what I'm saying? I said I was going. I shot my big face off, and she believed me. So anyway, I get in the car as I'm driving there. I said, "If I don't walk on that stage like I bought it, owned it, and my name's on this theater, I have no business going." And when I got there, I looked, and there was about 90 people trying out for 30 parts, and they had 2 nights of that. So that was just the first night. And I was the oldest. I was the oldest by 20 years, the oldest one there. I was in my 60s. I was 60, and then the next oldest one was 40. And I said, what the hell did I do? So anyway, they had a break during the rehearsal. I went outside and I talked to the director. I said, I've never acted before. Before I said another word, he said, some of my best actors are newbies. Don't worry about it. I says, but they're singing up there. I said, I'm only a bathtub singer. So, now you want me to get up there and sing? Some of these are trained voice singers. There wasn't one bad singer tonight that I heard. I says, and you have them do the keys first, the notes. I know, you go from low to high, high to low in the notes, but that's about, he said, would you rather sing first, then do the notes? I says, yes, I would. So when we went back after the break, one or two more got up there and I said, that's it, now or never. I get up there and I did. I just remembered that thought. You own this stage. You own them. I walked to the edge of the stage. I said, hey, nice to see all you old people here. And they laughed because they knew I was the only one. And then I belted out two 1950s rock and roll songs like I had written them. And I just didn't care. And I nailed them because I just sneak a glance over to the piano player and the director. And they're kind of like going, you know what? No. So anyway, when I was done, I came home that night and I said, Marianne, if he never calls me, I had the guts to get up there. And that's half of it. She encouraged me by saying, basically, you said you were going to do it. I believe you. So I couldn't let her down. And that's how I did it. And I got picked for that stupid play. I was Cinderella's drunken father. I said, oh, no, I'm typecast already.
Yeah. Exactly. Oh, my God. How funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that support system is so much. I have to say, I've never wanted to put a couple's photo on the promo photo before, but you had so many pictures on your social media that are just so precious between the two of you.
Yeah.
I was like, maybe I'll break the rules. I'm like, no, I can't confuse somebody. She's not going to be on the show. The two of you, it just radiates the support that you have between each other.
It's nice to hear. And I say this, I have a couple of jokes about her, but she's never the butt of my joke. She makes me look bad in the joke. That would be silly trying to make her look bad because people know her.
Right.
And anyway, and I always start off by saying if it's a new group, a new audience, someone I haven't done comedy in front of, I want to tell you something about my wife. If I said she was the best woman on earth, that'd be half true. She's the best person on earth. That's exactly how I feel. I said, she has always supported me, always said and done the right thing. It's amazing. And so many people say, her we can see, but how does she stand it? I said, it's some kind of a test she has to pass. So leave her alone, will you?
Right.
But anyway, and it's true, that is how I feel. So then when I tell a joke, and it looks like, I'm going to be making fun of her. And at the punchline, I'm making fun of me. They love it because I had already built her up.
Yeah, I hate when comedians, which makes it harder, I understand, put other people down, and especially their wives. It's like disrespectful. I'm always thinking, try harder,
With one exception, Rodney Dangerfield.
Yeah, right.
He's like, I called my wife the other day from work. I said, wasn't that great? She says, yeah, who's this? I said to my son's acting up. I said, someday you're going to have a kid just like you. I said, you're going to have a kid just like you. He said, yeah, you might too, Dad. Nice. Anyway, so Rodney could see it was. When he did it, it was just a riot because he put himself down by saying, I get no respect. I tell you, I get no respect.
Right.
So I love that. And once a year, you have the Night of the Dead Comedians, and I always do Rodney Dangerfield and do that at and it's like the biggest night of comedy downtown. I did George Carlin once, didn't quite work. And, I can understand it was very complicated, hard to put in, but you have to do a dead comedian. And I always stick with Rodney. His voice is easy to do. And his lines, just one line and one after another. I tell you, it was so ugly when I was born, the doctor slapped my wife. Then the nurse gave her an uppercut. I told her we did everything we could, but he pulled through anyway.
You even sound like it was great.
Classic. That is classic comedy.
Yeah.
Just one line of bang, bang, bang. You're still laughing at that, and he's coming hitting you with another one. He was terrific.
Well, and those type of comedians really set the bar so high.
Right.
It makes it even harder now, because of there is so much sensitivity. And I see new comics really struggling to be put into that. And I almost feel bad for them because there was a lot of freedom, a lot of offense too, but a lot more freedom for comedy than there is now. And so it's nice that you're trying to bring all of those together and still be funny. David, I've been wanting to say hi to you for a minute. Good to see you again. Sorry, David had said hello.
Hey, David.
So what are you, you're 80 years old. You're seemingly healthy. You've got your beautiful bride next to you.
Right.
Any new dreams? Any new things you're going to be accomplishing? Where do you go from here?
I don't even think of that. It's just somehow I had an operation on my leg and I was stuck in a wheelchair for a few weeks. So I got into painting. I used to like to sketch, but I never did it seriously. So I get into painting, and a friend of mine came over one night, and one of them was hanging on the wall. This one you see behind me, I did the mountains.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and anyway, there was one hanging, and it was trees and a mountain and that. He said, I love that. I said, oh, I did. You did that? He said, I'll give you $300 for it right now. I said, don't be. And this is a SCAD graduate that knows his stuff. He said, I'll give you $300. I said, you know what? I've never sold a painting in my life, but I'll tell you one thing. You're a friend. 150. He peels off the money. He walked out the door with it. The next day, he was staying downtown at the Marshall House, which is a real nice hotel.
Yeah.
An old-fashioned one, and we were supposed to be haunted and all.
Hopefully.
And he's walking in with the painting. And after he left, it was about midnight after he left here. And he says, two drunk women that were in one of those bridal parties come over and they said, I love that painting. So I said, that's really nice. You, an accomplished SCAD student, and drunk women love my painting.
Love it.
As long as they have a market. As long as they have a market, that's fine.
So I'm getting the impression, which I absolutely love, that you just have no fear. It's like, I'm going to try this, and if I fail,
I bury it. Oh no, I'll bury it. I do. There is a trepidation. I call it trepidation.
Okay.
But again, I always think just before I do something, Mary Ann's hand is on my back saying, you said you could do it. And I do not want to let her down. And that just buries all the fear. I just march out there. And remember, you only fail, in my definition, you only fail if you don't try something.
Right.
You go out there, and if you fall on your face, so what? Try it again, or at least say you tried it. You fail if you want to do it and never do it. That's when you fail. Don't do that. Don't fail. Just get out there and do it.
Right. And there's no failure if we learn too. If it makes us better in some way, more loving, we learn a lesson. There's no mistakes or failures there either. And I love that. Patrick is sending me all of these notes in the private chat. Are you serious or are you joking?
It's art. It's art. It's Bill as an actor has died. I don't know how many times of yellow fever.
Oh, okay.
Sarah and I were at a live horror show in Savannah, and we gathered around the bed of someone from Savannah's waves of yellow fever over the years, and all of a sudden, we weren't expecting him at all. There was Bill lying on the bed, dying of yellow fever. So I honestly don't know how many times he's.
He also said that you should be a world cribbage champion.
Yes.
Coming up.
Let me just get back to that. Excuse me, about the yellow fever thing. The hardest thing, I had to stay dead for about 5 minutes while they're still looking at me and talking around me. And that staying dead is the hardest acting that I'll ever do. It really is, because that's when you're saying don't sneeze. I know I would don't sneeze and stuff like that.
Or cough.
Yeah.
Oh,
anyway, world cribbage champion. I've beaten the best in America, who are pretty much the world champions. I've beaten the best in America.
Seriously? I thought Patrick was messing with me. Really?
No, really. It's a game I love. I learned it when I was in the hospital. When I was 22, I was in the hospital for a couple of days for some small thing, and the guy in there taught me. So then I found out in the post office when I got another promotion, I go to an office and the guy says, "Oh, there's a big cribbage organization countrywide, but they have tournaments here and they're going to have one, in a couple of weeks." Yeah, I'm all for it. So I joined it a long time ago, and I'm a ranked master player. I'm also a judge, and probably in the top of all they have about 6,000 members now, and I'm in the top 90%, just about that, So, I'm a pretty good player. Yeah, but it's
Sorry
a
for
it's a
doubting
game of luck. Pardon?
I said, I'm sorry for doubting Patrick. I thought he was messing with me.
Oh,
He never messed
it's
with you
always
during
a
the
good
game.
idea to doubt Patrick, but you're going to be wrong.
I was like, he's throwing these jokes at me.
You do terrible at do a sales, Patrick, because people don't believe you, but what you're saying is happened or it's true.
A teacher's more appropriate.
Yeah. My heart's on my sleeve and I can't get it off. And yeah, I can sell for a product that I believe in, but the minute that something goes awry, it's like, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm what's called too honest. Yeah.
No, you're the type when you walk away from Patrick, you're saying, I should have listened to him. He was saying the truth. It's like you don't sell it. That's all I'm saying. You don't me. I mean, I'm in the room. As people say, Bill's in the room. So one time my wife had about 10, she worked for this organization. She was a nurse at the time. So there were mostly women that worked with her. And she had about 10 or 12 of them over for some kind of a dinner here. And all I wanted to do was say hi and get out, because you know how outnumbered you are. If you have one guy in a room, if you're 10 guys in a room with one woman, the guys are outnumbered. So I just had to get out of there. So one of them says to Marianne, did you hear the ridiculous thing Bill just said? And she said, he said something? And that's how she handles me. He said something? About time.
But I have to respect and even, sorry, again, a little bit skeptical that you're such a man of your word. I mean, that you used Marianne as your inspiration to not go back on your word, as someone to remain to be trusted. And because you did that, because you were a man of your word, because you gave the fuck it, I'm going to do it anyway attitude, you have such a story. And that is such an amazing story that you have going through. I mean, because so many people, even when I was writing my book, I was, every other day was, what have I done? Oh my God, what have I done? And occasionally I still go, did it ruin my life? But you have these fears, you have these things, and you just take it all in stride. You have the support, you maintain your ethics.
But I think a lot of that has to do with experience too. The longer you live, the more you've seen, the more you've been through. So you don't take things too seriously that they're going to blow over. These are good. This too shall pass, as they say. So you don't take things over like too seriously. And that's just, I mean, that's just the attitude I developed. I'm not blasé. I am, if someone's serious about something, I can be dead serious, and because they deserve that. But I don't try to let it bring me down. I mean, I've had problems with friends that I thought were friends, and all of a sudden they disappear. And I say, okay, that still happens. It happened when I was young. It's happening now. I really don't let it bother me. That's the difference. I'm old enough and mature enough saying, hey, what are you going to do? You can't change what happened. Marianne, come here a second. They want to say hi to you. But you just come in.
He said something.
He's been saying stuff all about you.
No, thank you very much. I get it all day. This is a pleasant break.
It sounds like you've got a great love here. It's so beautiful.
It's pretty special. Yeah, we've been together a long time and it's working out okay. So we're not going to change it.
Good.
Yeah.
I was just talking to my aunt today, and it took her 50 years to like her husband. So you guys are way ahead.
Yeah.
Well, this isn't the first rodeo for either one of us. So when we went into it, we knew what we were looking for. So you can just eliminate the things that don't work and forget about it, go on to the next one. So I stopped when I found Bill.
Yeah. And I always said, marry an older woman. Mary Ann is exactly 4 weeks older than me. And boy, the mileage I get out of that.
Yeah.
A cougar,
We met when
man. You're a
we met when we were-
cougar.
Yes.
Yes.
But we met when we were 48, right? And when she
Oh,
turned
wow.
50, I says, now remember, just a month. I said, 50. They touched the 60s. I'm in my 40s. They touched the 30s. This is like a 30-year difference. I think I only said that once, and then I knew that didn't work.
It wasn't going to work again.
So, Mary Ann, let me ask you, since you're on screen, he has attributed a lot of his courage to just being a man of his word to you. Do you see that? Do you know that you've had that part in his life?
I think I do. I
Good.
actually I do. I know that when we got together that there were certain kind of dreams that he wanted to see and goals that he wanted to reach. And fortunately, because of his early retirement and moving down here to a very artsy community, he was able to do the things that he couldn't do as a young man: act, paint, do
Yeah.
creative writing.
Especially raising a
write
family,
poetry.
it's
Yeah.
hard to
He
do.
was
Right.
raising a family. And so when we met, our families were grown and flown. And so I knew that there's a great story about his first community theater experience, and I'll make it short. We went to a play. The director said that he was interviewing.
her that one.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
you heard
yeah.
that one. So that was one of the few times that he was speechless. And there's only been 3 in a 30.
When they called it, I went to a game that night when he was supposed to call. I says, you know what? I'm going to go to the ball game. He ain't going to call. I mean, I didn't even feel upset. But as I said, there were at least over 100 trying out for 29 parts. So anyway, so I come home that night. It was about 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
And all she said was, Bob called. I knew who she meant. The only Bob I knew. My mouth dropped. I knew it was he wants you to call now. Bob, yeah, he wants you to call. Oh my! And I call. He says, "You got the part." Again, Cinderella's drunken father. I thanked him and thanked him and thanked him, and then when I hung up, I said, "Oh, I'm typecast already."
No acting required.
No.
Mary Ann, the show is on creating new dreams. Are you equally as embracive as chasing your dreams too?
I'm the biggest fan. I encourage, I support.
Okay, everyone needs that.
Everything. I don't feel the desire to act as Bill does.
Mhm.
I have done it, and I think I've been pretty good at it, but I just don't have any desire to do all that memory work and waiting long periods of time to get something done. I was active all of my working life, and I worked hard for 50 years. So
Wow.
when retirement came, it was going to be retirement.
So your dream was just to relax and chill.
I read a book.
There you
work
go.
garden.
There you
Take
go.
care of my flowers. That to me is, I never had time to do that. So
That being said,
That's a
that
dream.
being said, so excuse me, the couple of times that I was able to get her on a stage, she nailed it. She's a natural. I have to work. I really have to work to become a character. I have to study hard. She walks up there, reads it once, and it's like she wrote it. I'm saying, here I am. Everyone's, hey, there's Bill. He does this, he does that. You are better than me, and you don't even want to do it.
Oh,
So
that's so frustrating, right?
So
I love, Mary Ann, that you guys have different dreams, but that they coalesce, and that you guys are both achieving. I mean, I have a dream to just read a book too. It would be so
And
nice.
that's what really kind of keeps us solid, is that Bill still has his stuff that he does. And I still have my stuff that I do. And we can go in different directions and do it. We don't have to cling to each other.
Right.
The first time that I did any acting with Bill was a comedy act. And him and I did a skit from George Burns and Gracie Allen. Honest to God, it was hysterical.
And she had all the lines.
Yeah.
As George was, he was the straight man. Once he realized she got all the lines, then he let her do it. And Marianne afterwards, these are my friends that I've done comedy with for about 5 years. They come rushing up to the stage right past me. Marianne, you were super. Oh my God, Marianne. And I couldn't have been prouder. I am glad. I couldn't have been
Love
happy.
that.
That was her. She shone.
So
She
that's
really
enough.
did.
That's enough. A little here, a little there. That's okay.
So, Marianne, you have your own Facebook Live too?
Do I have my own what?
Facebook Live. Patrick is saying
No,
both.
I do not. No.
Oh, okay.
No,
And that's yeah, that's
no
just.
cards from Lowell, or you come by the 15 minutes of F.
Oh, I participate in all of the programming that has happened, and
Okay.
sometimes it's just the two of us, so we talk nonsense for 20 minutes or a half an hour, and it works very well. And we seem to have a little bit of a following, and mostly people we know and we care for and we love, so that's nice. But I don't have my own page. I oftentimes sit on it with Bill.
You guys are just too damn cute.
Oh, thank you.
You really
Yes.
are.
If there's any secret, people getting married say, Bill, how, what's your secret? I'll say it's easy. Never, ever say anything in anger. And again, you're going to disagree. That's fine. Disagree, but never be disrespectful, because that's the thing that'll stick and they won't forget that. Just say, you know what? We'll talk about it later. Right now, we're just
Yeah,
back
too
to
heated
back.
up.
That's fine.
Yeah.
But we never call each other a name that we have to apologize for, do anything like that. Because that, to me, if you show disrespect once, that only means you're going to do it again.
Right.
So just don't show it the first time, and just work your way through it. That's all. And
Well,
it's easy. She's so reasonable and responsible. I'm like, I'm like a kid you send to the store for the first time by himself.
I look at him
But love will do that. So your love comes through. That's definitely, it's evident. If I wanted a relationship, I would be jealous.
Guilty as charged.
I'm
So,
gonna go groceries away, so you'll excuse me. Nice chatting.
mwah. So nice to meet you, Marianne. Thank you.
As I said, the invitation is come on down and have a glass of wine with us sometime.
Love it. Absolutely
Good.
love it.
Good night.
Good night.
Just sorry.
Like I said, if I wanted a relationship, I would be really jealous. But since I don't, I'm okay. You guys are just beautiful. Just absolutely beautiful.
And
I-
that is another secret too. Don't let anyone talk you into something you don't want to do. If you don't want a relationship, it means you're happy with that.
Right.
That's
Right.
fine. Absolutely. Some people
Right.
want kids, some don't. Whatever it is, make sure it's what you want. Don't have kids because people kind of talk you into it. Don't ever do that. But
Well, and
if
I
you're
think go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I'm just saying it's the same thing. Just do what's right for both of you and make sure you're on the same page of big decisions. You've got to solve big decisions so that you're both happy with the result. That's all.
Well, and I think that a lot of people try to follow other people's dreams as opposed to their dreams. Mom and dad want me to be this, husband or wife wants me to be this, as opposed to
much
really
pressure, yep.
understanding
Yep.
what you want. I've talked to different people about that in their relationships and have said, what do you offer and what do you want? So to be able to know yourself enough to know what dreams to further. Like I said, it took me probably 2 or 3 weeks to go, okay, let me figure out what to do from here. It was like okay, I knew
But
I was
that's
going
a
to
nice
apply for the
problem.
book out. What's
That's
that?
a nice problem, though, isn't it? It's a nice problem. Gee, I did something good. What can I do next? And it gives you time to think about it. That's a good problem.
it's also a rare problem I found, because so many people, which I thought was so important with this show, because so many people fail to reach their dreams. It's scary, it's life changing. I mean, going through the 13 years with this book, I was like, I get it. I get why people give up and is like, no, I can't do this anymore. Back to reality. I can't do this. Life kind of forced me to, but it's taking those extra steps and doing those things. A lot of people don't do it. I mean, only less than 1% of caterpillars actually make to be butterflies. So, I didn't even know who to reach out to go, okay, now what? What do I do to go from here? Where do I create new dreams? How does it tie into this dream? And
It'll just keep thinking, I want to do something. I don't know what it is right now, but I'm going to do something.
Yeah, I mean, it went from
it'll come
now to, okay, let's do this. Being open as opposed to being depressed or anything. It was weird. This whole thing is weird. Accomplishing your dreams, having people respond, it's all very foreign to me. So just trying to get that. I mean, it must have been the same way when you got your first roar of applause and laughter, right?
Yes, it really is. I wrote that joke and they're laughing at it. It's not. Yeah. When I do Rodney, they're all his jokes. I don't take any credit except just trying to impersonate him. And that's fine. That's understood. But every time I've done comedy, I've always used my own material. And everyone in the Savannah, there's a big comic community in Savannah. They've all done that too. Except one. And I never mentioned any. I can't believe they're telling jokes I heard when I was a kid. And they're only in their 20s. And they're telling jokes that I heard when I was a kid. Stop it. Write your own stuff. Have some pride. Right. If it doesn't work, you can work on it and make it better.
Right. It is. But
that's, only one out of all the comedians here that I ever caught time after time telling jokes that he just found on the internet or something. And that's, that wasn't what we were about. We were about, we're not going to replace Jimmy Fallon, but, we're going to do what we can and get a few laughs no matter where we go.
Right. And that appreciation of that accomplishment that you've done can be kind of overwhelming. Right? I mean, when I got my first really good review, I cried like a baby, and my mind couldn't differentiate sad tears from happy tears. It was such a strange feeling. I got some more really good news yesterday, and I went, hee! And then immediately went, what the fuck was that? And I just wanted to do it again. Like overwhelming joy from the work that you've done, from having your dreams recognized. It is, like I said, it's important. I hope more people begin to follow their dreams forward, really chase them, and don't have the fear that you didn't have.
And as I said, I listened to people that came along the way that were there before me, and one of them was Truman Capote, and I'll never forget. He was on TV. In Cold Blood was one of the best books I ever read. That was have you read that In Cold Blood by Truman Capote? Yeah.
Just the movies.
It's real, but it's real. I mean, it's every page in there. And they said, is that a novel? He says, it's kind of a real novel. He said, well, it can't be. Well, that's what it is. But anyway, he's on another show one time. And he says, people ask me, how do you become an author? How do you write? And I just tell them, just write. Just do it. Don't talk about it. Just do it. Right. Way to go, Truman. That's how you do it. Just do it. Forget the sticker ad.
I mean, every time that, I went through the fear stages and crippling fear stages and all of those things, after I picked myself up off the bathroom floor from crying, it was like, okay, let's get this done. You've cried it out, you've freaked out, you've done all this. Let's do it.
The crying changed nothing. You had the same situation when you stopped crying. But you got it out of your system. I mean, I get that. That's emotion. You got it out of your system. Right. Now it's time to think clearly and move.
Well, and people have asked me, is there anything that I regret in the last few years? And that is one of the regrets that I have. Is that I was sad too often. I was scared too often. It didn't change anything. The worry didn't change anything. None of that. I wish I would have been more go with the flow. This is what's happening, which I'm so much more so now. But that's what the book is about. It's like I had
Good for
to be
you.
that person. And overcoming the fear with a smile. Now, shit makes me laugh. It's the stuff that life throws at me makes me laugh and go, okay, doing the two-step again, but still chasing the dreams. I try to do something towards my goals and my dreams every single day, even if it's just for 2 minutes.
Nice. And that's good for you. But
I
look,
try.
I mean, you're a doctor. So you've accomplished stuff in your life to go that far, that much education.
Well, it's like having a PhD in Bigfoot, though, so it doesn't really count.
Don't let people put you down. It really
It's
counts.
I'm just teasing. It's a joke.
No,
But
I mean, it's
theology,
something to be
so
proud of, and you've obviously
I know.
accomplished things in
know.
your past.
I
But
am.
okay, so one of the things I did when I came to Savannah, my son was in the Army at the time, and one night he couldn't get off, so I'm downtown. It was Kevin Barry's. You remember that, Patrick? Kevin Barry's on River Street.
Yeah.
That might have been after you quit drinking. I'm only kidding. Anyway, Kevin Barry's.
Fun, I mean,
Kevin Barry's was an Irish bar, and I'm sitting there all by myself, and I happen to have a pen in my pocket, and I grabbed a napkin. I said, I'm going to write a poem. That's all I said. I'm going to write a poem. No one with me, and I wrote a poem, and I actually added to it after that. But would you like to hear it? It's just a short one.
Yeah.
Would you care to hear it?
Yeah.
It's called His Final Day. With trembling hands, the old man found the matches in his pocket. After several attempts, he lit the paper, which lit the kindling. As the fire warmed him, he sat back and smiled, while outside his cabin, a brown leaf rustled in the wind, then blew gently to the ground. The green leaves from the same tree looked down and wondered, when will it be my turn?
Wow.
So that's it. That was my first poem.
I love it. Wow.
That was his final day, and that was that brown leaf's final day, and the others were wondering, oops, when will it be my turn? So that it just kind of, it was easy.
I use the beauty of trees dying in the fall and all of that as symbolic for our own death, that we should view it the same way. So that really touched me. That was beautiful.
I'm going kicking and screaming. Don't even shut the lid to that coffin. I ain't through yet. I got one more joke. Stop it.
Right? You'll be the joking ghost.
Yeah, I know. I told people, I work for Savannah Underground, and that's where you saw the story of me dying of yellow fever. I'm another character now. I'm a mean old son of a bitch that was brought back from the dead. And so that's the character I play now. And it was, anyway, there was a point to this, and I just proved I'm old. I forget where I was going with it. Yeah. Anyway, I'll think of it in a second, but that's anyone else.
While it's back to you, we are almost at the top of the hour. What advice, I know, what advice would you give people who say, oh, I would like to do that, but haven't actually taken the step to do it yet? Get a Marianne?
I encourage them, and I know it's tough. This is why I say, if you look at a football game, 80,000 people in the stands, there's only 22 on the field that are playing it. So think of yourself as you're an audience. You want to do comedy, but if you're watching late night shows, 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 10 million people watching it, there's only 1 or 2 on that stage. That's a tough place to be. So the thing is, just say they did it. They're not better than me. It's just that they had the breaks and they worked harder. So work hard. Don't be afraid to work. Don't be afraid to try your joke. If you know someone that you can trust, and say, if it's comedy, say, look at, and the people come up to me, Bill, what do you think of this? And I'll say, you're on the right track. I think it needs some work. I don't want to discourage you, but keep doing it, keep writing it, and keep coming back. You're only going to get better if you keep standing on that stage. And there's no firing squad. You got to remember, at the end, if you bomb, they don't take you out back and shoot you. It's only that you had a bad set. No big deal. No big deal. So don't let that, you build it up in your mind worse, much worse than it is. As I said, the first 2 times I left the stage laughing at myself because it was so bad. They did not know what I was talking. It was like I was speaking in a foreign language. And then I understood why, because I can't connect it. I got to find something to connect them with. And so I'm saying, just do it. Stop promising yourself, set a date. 2 months from now, I'm going to do it. And in the meantime, if you get a friend you can trust, that's very helpful, and go to them and say, do your set in front of them. This is what I did, and this is true. I'll write new jokes, a new skit or whatever. And I'll say, Marianne, what do you think of this? If she laughs, it's good. I keep it. If she says, needs some work, she's right. It needs some work. If she says, that's terrible, I keep it because I know it's funny. So she's my barometer.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, just having the courage to do it is, I think, the biggest thing, to silence your fears. I mean, since I was a kid, it was implanted in me to use the worst case scenario. Will you die? And it's like, nope, not going to die. I may want to after this, but I'm not, I may be so embarrassed. But that has propelled it. Like, okay, I can deal with the worst case scenario. Let's do this.
I've never been afraid never really been afraid. I've been, a little tentative. Never been afraid. I mean, when growing up, I've had my share of fights. And that's when you're a bit scared. If someone wants to punch you in the face and you have to defend yourself, that's when you're scared. So I said, this is better than that was. It's much better than that was.
There you go.
So how can it be?
Yeah,
anyhow, I encourage yourself. I'm trying to encourage someone that might be listening saying, how can I do it if he did it in that? Yeah, I mean, again, no one is ever going to remember me when I'm gone, except the few people I know, the few people that saw me. I'm not going to replace Jimmy Fallon ever. So I'm not worried about it. I'll do whatever I can whenever I go. Even today, I have a bad joke or a bad set. I walk off going, see me next week. You'll probably be much happier.
Yeah, I love that. I love the determination. I love the lack of pressure. And everything that you're saying can be applied to any dream. It's not just.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just using one example. You're right.
Yeah. So, I mean, anything that my first dream was to have a dive boat on the island of Bimini and to run dive charters in the Bahamas. It was an ignorant dream because I didn't realize that we couldn't just go live in the Bahamas. But so you have
that's a great dream. Who didn't want to?
No,
I'm saying that's a great dream.
Like $1 million to go live in the Bahamas. So
you didn't know that. It's still a great dream. You'd go to bed falling asleep thinking of it.
Exactly. I mean, I went and looked at boats. I mean, I had a plan, and then the book came. And that was like, okay, I'm going to set this aside. And I got a boat, and I realized I can't be on a boat for more than a few hours. It was easy to go from being a dive charter captain to this book because it felt more authentic. It felt more purposeful. So again, I went to my friends. I looked at them and said, can I do this? Should I do this? Wait. So everything you're saying about what kept you going to create these massive changes in your life that fulfill dreams that you've had forever, works for everything. And I just love that.
And I think the image I tell people, right? And they'll say, why did you get into, you should have been afraid. I'm saying, here's what I was really afraid of. Being on my deathbed in a nursing home, watching TV saying, oh no, this is all I did when I could have accomplished something.
Right.
I did not want to die like that.
Right.
So that's what really, that and Marianne, that's kept me going. I did not want to die watching TV in a nursing home. If I do now, I'll say, hey, at least on the TV in the nursing home, hey, folks, you want to hear funny, come over to this bed, ha ha.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, that's all of it right there, to not have those regrets on your deathbed, to say I did everything I could. I mean, I'm sure all of us, no matter who they are, will say, I wish I could have done this, or I wish I had a few more days to do this. But to go, you know what, I did everything I could.
Yeah, and I'll
Is a
still.
big.
I'm not. I'm seriously. I'm not going down without a fight. When I'm going down, when I finally fall over, you'll hear me from there. It's going to be a
Okay.
big thump because I'm not a
Well,
quitter.
it's a
Just not a quitter.
long time away. I
Yeah.
absolutely
Well,
love
thank you.
it.
Thank you.
Patrick, I love Bill Cooper. This has been an amazing show. Thank you so much.
He's a fine fella.
Yes.
And I heard about Marianne for years before I actually met her. It was kind of fun because like the comedians that I would meet in Savannah would say hi to Bill too and be like, "How's Marianne?" Bill would tell a story and he'd mention Marianne, and she's stellar as well. And the two are admirably and beautifully connected.
Yes. It's refreshing and a bit abnormal to see. I wish it
Well,
was more
she was-
normal, but
She had two choices. Either I went downtown and did comedy, or I stayed at home sitting on the couch making fun of the TV show she liked. So she'd say, "Hey, aren't your friends downtown? Look at the time. You better get going." And she'd be in front of my car like she was at an airport with the two flashlights out of the driveway.
Get out.
See
I
ya.
love her before now. Okay,
Anyway.
well, we are at the top of the hour. My jaw literally hurts from smiling for the last hour.
And so nice to meet you. And I know Patrick. Patrick's one of the best guys too. He's terrific, and very nice to meet you. And I'm looking forward to reading your book. We can talk about that sometime.
Oh yeah, definitely. So, thank you so much. Any final
Pleasure.
words? Where can people find you? Because I'm sure a lot of people are going to want to friend you after this.
Well, I am on Facebook, but if you friend me, mention Sherry or Patrick, because sometimes I get one I don't know who they are or what they are. So I'm not very good at adding friends unless somebody says, "Hey, I told so and so to friend you." Then probably the easiest on Facebook, Bill Cooper, Savannah, Georgia.
Okay, and that's where you do your live comedy every week?
It's every other week now, and we're
okay.
starting a new show. I don't even know what it's going to be called or what it is, but we're starting it this Friday at noontime. And what I like is seriously no script, off the cuff. Everything's off the cuff, whether it's Marianne, me, or my friend Lewis. It's totally off the cuff, and sometimes we just sing songs, make stuff up as we go along. But that's that's the fun of it. So.
The improv.
You're out there without a safety net. No safety net, baby. You're out there in front of it. So anyway, it works good.
I mean, this show has had some crazy shit happen. Fire alarms go off. It's like, oh, the beauty of life. So yeah, I get that. And it adds fun to it anyway.
Again, thank you so much. This has been a pleasure.
Patrick, do you have anything further to ask?
Drop in on Bill on Facebook or let's see, Savannah Underground's a live spooky show that Bill's in frequently. We've also got the Most Haunted City on Earth podcast friends coming in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
And also just drop into Savannah, Georgia. You might run into Bill or any kinds of other interesting folks down there. Most beautiful city in America.
Yeah, beautiful.
And I'm kind enough to let you buy me a beer. That's the kind of guy I am.
There you go.
So gracious. Okay, I'm going to send you guys backstage and close the show. Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure. Oh my God, what a great show. Seriously, my jaw hurts. Thanks for watching and your input. Next week's show is with Colby Martin, author, pastor, and spiritual coach. He combines progressive Christianity with conscious spirituality to help us stay open to life and love. And I have to say, hasn't our schedule rocked? I mean, Patrick showed up tonight for the show, but he is really doing a superb job in helping us get the top talent on this show and people like Bill. Just so amazing. Thank you so much, Patrick Young. Look him up, friend him, give him all the kudos. And don't forget to check out my book. I can't wait to hear your thoughts and all of that good stuff. Let's talk about that. If you like the show, share it, subscribe, and thanks again for watching. Have a wonderful week, and as always, walk in love. Bye.